Hello and welcome, my dear friend. There are some things that, if spoken out loud, would sound like fiction. What they did to you. If someone heard the full story, they'd ask how you're still functioning, let alone smiling. But you are. And that's the part that's breaking their understanding of what strength really is. Not because you clapped back, not because you got even, but because you never lost yourself. They expected an explosion. But what they got was restraint sharp enough to cut through steel. And here you are, still standing, not just intact, but clearer. Still rising, not just surviving, but refined. You didn't just get through the situation. You walked through something disgusting. And your soul didn't pick up a single stain. That's not normal. That's sacred discipline. Most people don't know what it takes to stay clean when you have been dragged through dirt by people you trusted. They don't understand the internal war it takes to sit still when your name is being butchered by cowards who would crumble under the pressure they tried to put on you. But you do. You were there in the room when the lie was told, in the silence after the betrayal, in the moment when your hands shook with everything they wanted to do but didn't. You felt the weight of every decision, and you chose not to respond the way the enemy expected. That's where the story shifts. That's why people are whispering about you now, but not the way they used to. The same ones who once poked and laughed, they're now watching in silence because the punchline turned out to be your power. You could have gone Old Testament. You could have destroyed everything with a sentence, a screenshot, a public moment of, let me explain. But something in you whispered, don't. And you listened, not because you didn't have receipts, but because you had wisdom. Because some responses cost more than silence. And you weren't about to spend your peace proving a point to people who already decided not to understand you. Let's get real for a second. Some of the things done to you were vile, not just unkind, not just hurtful, they were spiritually disgusting, strategically crafted to ruin you, not just externally, but internally, to make you doubt your goodness, to make you question your instincts, to make you feel so backed into a corner that you'd become the monster they could use as proof. But you didn't take the bait, and that shook them. You see, when someone tries to dirty your name, it's not about truth. It's about control. They're hoping to force you into a reaction that makes you look unstable, bitter, unhinged. But you were trained too well. You didn't get loud. You got clearer. And that's when it hit them. You weren't afraid. You were focused. You weren't passive. You were protected. Even in silence, you were operating with heaven's full attention. They thought they had the upper hand, but they didn't know who was walking with you. They didn't know that the same God who watched you cry on that bathroom floor was preparing a table with your name on it. And now they're watching it get set. Now they're realizing the very mess they made is the ground you're rising from. Let's talk about the part no one saw. The nights you almost broke your own code just to feel heard. The moments where betrayal made your bones ache. The days you wanted to shout, I didn't deserve this, but didn't, because something sacred in you knew. The longer you stayed clean, the louder the truth would echo. And you were right. You didn't just survive. You preserved your essence. You could have thrown mud, but instead you turned your pain into a platform. Not one built on revenge, one built on restraint, on emotional maturity, on divine calibration. Because you knew if you lost your center, you'd lose more than your temper. And you weren't going to hand them that kind of victory. So you stood still. And in that stillness, the whole system started to fall apart. Let me tell you something real. When someone is committed to misunderstanding you, no explanation will ever be enough. But when the energy shifts, when the truth starts knocking louder than the lies ever did, the same mouths that mocked you will be too full of silence to keep the act going. And that's what's happening now. Your glow doesn't match the gossip, your peace doesn't fit their predictions, and they're confused. How did you make it through all of that? How are you still walking like nothing touched you? How did they not break you? Because you knew something they didn't. Every move you made was being weighed by something greater. And you didn't just want victory, you wanted alignment. You wanted to still be able to look in the mirror and recognize the person looking back. So you chose the higher path. And while it hurt, it also healed. You didn't escape the storm by hiding. You walked through it, eyes open, hands clean. And now you're shining. Not because it was easy, but because you stayed true when it was hardest. Here's the truth most won't say out loud. They didn't expect you to survive. Not because you were weak, but because they knew how strong the attack was. They had inside knowledge of what was said, what was plotted, what was twisted. They knew the lies were thick. The setup was coordinated. And the goal wasn't just to hurt your feelings, it was to dismantle your identity. They aimed for your sense of self. That's why your resilience scares them. Because if they had gone through even half of what they put you through, they'd be forgotten or curled up in some corner of bitterness. But you didn't collapse. You didn't trade your integrity for the illusion of power. You didn't sell your soul to clear your name. You didn't weaponize your pain. You carried it and turned it into clarity. You became dangerous the moment you realized you didn't need the approval of anyone who misunderstood your silence. The moment you stopped fighting to be seen and started protecting your peace instead. You see, the old version of you would have begged to be believed, would have fought to explain the nuance, defend your tone, justify the choices you made behind closed doors. But this version of you, this version doesn't need an audience. This version doesn't need an apology to move forward. You have become someone who can be trusted with power because you didn't destroy anything to get it. That's the part they can't copy. That's what's got people watching from behind fake accounts, old stories, and quiet regret. You became the proof that not all survival stories are loud. Sometimes they're quiet, sacred, and sharper than revenge could ever be. Let's break this down. You didn't win because you shouted louder. You won because you waited longer. You outlasted every whisper. You outgrew every lie. And the most powerful part? You didn't return the energy. You replaced it. You replaced shame with confidence, confusion with clarity, resentment with purpose. That's why people are drawn to you now, because you carry what they couldn't fake even if they tried. A clean soul that's been through fire and didn't turn to ash. Let's name what this really is. This isn't about moving on. This is about spiritual mastery. This is about what it means to hold divine power without burning everything in your path. You could have crushed them. You could have gone public. You could have dragged names, aired screenshots, and taken the low road paved in rage. But you didn't, because the calling on your life required more from you than emotional outbursts. And now that the smoke is cleared, it's obvious. They tried to make you look unstable, but your stillness became a testimony. They tried to make you invisible, but your glow became a spotlight. They tried to erase you, but you became unforgettable. Because you remained who you were when everything around you said you'd have to become something else just to survive. You didn't just survive, you maintained your soul. That's legacy. That's divine proof. So now what? Now you walk forward, not with a chip on your shoulder, but with peace in your step. Not to prove them wrong, but to live the life they thought they could sabotage. You don't need to explain yourself to people who saw the truth and chose the lie. You don't need closure from the ones who created confusion. You don't need to replay the past just to be sure it was wrong. You know it was. And the ones who tried to break you, they'll either witness your rise or hear about it from the people they tried to turn against you. You are not just a survivor of betrayal. You are a living contradiction to every low expectation that was spoken over you. You are a walking reminder that power without purity isn't power. It's noise. So if no one's told you this yet, let me be the first. The way you handled it was holy. The way you walked through it was sacred. The way you didn't lose yourself in their chaos is what's making heaven move on your behalf now. You didn't just endure something hard. You honored who you are while the world tried to make you forget. That's why your smile isn't just a smile. It's a testimony. It's a sign. It's a warning to darkness that light can't be extinguished, only hidden for a while. You passed the test that most never even see coming. And the reward? Peace that no rumor can shake, power that no lie can strip, and a future that no betrayal can block. Welcome back, my dear friend. The cleanest hands in the dirtiest room. You didn't fight for the throne. You became the proof. It was always yours. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.